Welcome back, everybody. You may notice a slight change in the format right now. I'm sitting next to Alejandro Agag, who, when I heard Alejandro was starting a couple of months ago to prepare a TED talk to do with us today. And when I heard from all the LBS organizers this was happening, I begged them to let us modify the program slightly to let me sit down and interview Alejandro, because I'm absolutely fascinated by his current project. Just as a little background, some of you might recognize Alejandro's name because he was the chairman and then the CEO of Queen's Park Rangers, which for the more nerdy guys like me is a football club in London. Alejandro was is Spanish. My pronunciation is not so terrible, is it? I'm getting away with it. And was an MEP at the age of 28 in 1999. He later moved to London to start a private equity firm in 2002, and has been doing that ever since. So, you know, just another typical young overachiever, like the rest of us, really. And, you know, like any super successful guy, he's decided to start a green project and save the environment and sort of tree hug a little. And I think that's great. So let's just see. We've got a video on Alejandro's plan to save the planet, haven't we? Can we see that?
To the future is about to start.
Alejandro, some people plant trees, okay? So some people sort of carbon offset. You decided to create an entire new class of motor racing in order to improve our environmental. Why?
I asked myself that many times, yes. But, well, thank you, first of all, for the kind words. Yes, we did, a year and a half ago, decided to start this new championship, Formula E. And we did it because, I mean, we wanted to make a change. And modestly from where we were, which was motorsport, we thought there was this opportunity to promote a major change in a way what we call ending combustion, changing the model of transportation, first in the cities and then all over the world, through motorsport. We thought that by showing electric racing cars driving fast, racing, we could change the perception about that.
Because you're doing, what is it, 6 cities, 8 cities?
We're doing
10. How many cities are you doing?
10.
Oh, it's 10, sorry, it was on the video.
All around the world.
10 cities.
And cities have a big problem. You know, 7 million people died from pollution related to the pollution in the cities last year, according to the World Health Organization. And the way to tackle this problem is, amongst other ways, to change from combustion to electric. That's what we want to promote with our championship.
Because it's fascinating, this move towards electric vehicles. This, you see press coverage that says 2014 will be the year of electric vehicles, but we saw that in 2013 and 12 and 11 and 10.
The electric vehicle has been a little bit of a disappointment, the implementation of the electric vehicle. A few years ago, people thought this was going to be much faster. But with some exceptions, like Tesla, for example, people yet don't believe in electric cars. They see them as slow, they don't see them as a real option for them. So we need to change that. The only way to change that is by making those cars much better, much better. And that will only happen through technology. And technology, at least in cars, develops through competition. Only different brands, different teams fighting each other and trying to develop better technologies make things happen. And then those improvements trickle down to the road cars.
Well, we saw so much of that with Formula One over the years. I mean, it became so much safer with the materials, the fuel tanks that no longer explode, all this stuff that everybody talks about trickle down, but it really happened with Formula One.
Many other things.
You're hoping to drive the same thing.
We're really hoping to be the test bed for all these technologies that will develop the electric car technology of the future, which may be not batteries. Batteries are today what works, but fuel cells, if they come through supercapacitors or any device, we don't know what will come in the future. But technology develops so fast.
Yeah. You're also, I mean, clearly from the video, you're trying to make it exciting.
Well, you have to, because there are many more sport fans than environmentalists. And I did a small stint, it is true. I myself am a sport fan, and now an environmentalist. But you need to catch the attention of the people through the sport. And then you put in there the environmental message, and then they will get it. But if you just go from the start just only to the environmentalists, you are targeting a very small audience. So we want to make it really, really broad.
Yeah, and you're preaching to converted with that small audience. Yes. By the way, I forgot to mention that if anybody wants to contribute any questions, just tweet them to LB at #LBSMagic, either from the live stream or from in here, and my colleague over there, Libby, will be picking them up, and we'll go to Libby in a minute. One question, I chatted with a few people about this beforehand. One question that always comes up is that electric vehicles tend to be quiet, and one of the things, well, up until the last year or so, one of the things that got people really excited about Formula One was the noise. Now, of course, now they've quietened down Formula One, which is very good of them from your point of view. But, I mean, aren't these kind of things kind of just whoosh by?
Well, no, I hope not. The sound is very important in motor racing. People who go to races expect to hear sound, and it's part of the excitement. And electric cars will have a sound. These cars have a sound. We didn't know what the sound was going to be. We just made the cars, and they sounded, which was good.
You heard it a bit on the video.
It could have been silent, which would have been a problem. But the sound is different, and everything is different about this championship. And the sound is, I think, is very futuristic. It's the sound of the future of racing. It's a bit like the Star Wars, the Episode 1, the pod race.
Yes.
That's the kind of experience we want to present to the fans. Completely different, like a science fiction. This is halfway between a race, a real race, which it is, and a video game. And that's where we want to position it. And then there is a very important second element. Our sound is about 80 decibels, which is more than a normal car, maybe a little bit under a bus. To race in cities, and all our races are in the heart of the cities where we go, we need that level of sound. If we had the level of sound of other Formula competitions, we wouldn't be allowed to race in cities. And for us, it's important to race in cities because our message is that the electric car is the solution for mobility in the cities now. So we got to race there, so that's why our sound is going to be a big advantage.
The video mentioned that you have twice as many vehicles as drivers in a race. There's this business. Tell us about this.
We do, yeah. It might sound a bit weird in the beginning, but every driver has 2 cars. The reason for this is that the battery, when you're racing, lasts only 25 minutes. So we had 3 options when we started the championship. One was to do 25-minute races, which we thought was the simple.
Because a regular Formula One race is
it's about an hour and 20, an hour and 30.
Yeah.
We go, maximum is 2 hours.
Maximum 2 hours.
We could do 25-minute races, which we didn't want to. It was too short for television and for everything. Nobody's going to go to a place to watch a 25-minute race. We wanted to make it 30 minutes, 30 We could do races with 2 cars. We cannot swap batteries because of safety regulations, but we could do races with 2 cars, which is the decision or the road we followed. Changing the car, the driver jumps from one car to the other. And this is not ideal. Well, and the third option, which was not to do it and wait 10 years and have bigger batteries. But we chose the second one because we also think that it's going to give a very clear vision of the progress. And I have, just to show that, I bring this around. This thing is where we are next year. So this is Formula E in 2014. And this is Formula E. Oh, this is my wallet.
It's very small. It's probably the result of Formula E.
This is Formula E in 5 years' time, probably. Yeah. So if nobody would have done this, none of you would have a mobile phone. And mobile phones have changed the world. We want to do a similar change with cars. So from this to this, and then to the road, so everybody will use an electric car. But we need to start somewhere. So
we do 25 minutes this year, 45 minutes next year, and by the time they can, if somebody can get to the point where they can do the whole race without a change, they have a huge advantage.
That is the target. So we are going to motivate the different manufacturers to develop technologies to last longer. And if in 5 years we can do the race with just one car, that's going to be so visible. So people are really going to see that electric cars are having this huge evolution.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, the whole design of the rules is super critical, isn't it? About promoting innovation, promoting a fun race to watch, etc. So that's
absolutely
not trivial.
Everything is focused on technology competition. This championship is all about technology, not about performance. Performance is important. People want to see cars going fast. But more than performance, this is targeted to have new technologies, breakthroughs in technology that will help this specific electric car space, which is very, very important because batteries really are, even with all the developments we had, batteries are still very, very inefficient. We need a major breakthrough on storage of energy for everything. Even my small mobile phone of today and yours needs to be recharged every day, and that's very inconvenient. How nice it would be to recharge your phone every month or every year. So that's where we need to go.
Yeah. But of course, it's interesting that I alluded earlier to the lack of the drop of interest in Formula One since it got quieter, and that's because they tried to promote more efficient engines by going from V8 to V6 turbocharged, and it just doesn't sound as interesting. But they did it for the same kind of noble reasons. I believe they're something like 30% more efficient, which is great, but they're not as much fun.
I think, I'm a big fan of Formula One, and I think that this debate about the noise is unfortunate because the breakthrough they've done in technology is amazing. So these engines that the Formula One cars are using today deliver almost the same power with 30% less fuel. 30% from 1 year to another. It's a huge leap. And the technology in those things is just incredible. And that will actually trickle down to road cars. So I think that's very positive, but fans are not really, some fans are complaining a lot. Yeah.
And it's interesting, I spent far too long really talking about the noise issue because you're actually doing some really radical stuff, like this business of the audience, the fans being able to vote on social media. Tell us about that, the power boost.
That's another one of our kind of crazy ideas. In the company, if they don't tell us we're crazy once a week, we start to get worried. So we come up with these different new things. And this one is for us very exciting. As I was saying before, we want to position this halfway between a video game and a real life race. So we've designed this system by which fans can vote through Twitter or through Weibo in China or through different channels to give an extra amount of energy in the race to their favorite driver.
How did the drivers feel about this when they first heard about it?
The Chinese driver like it.
How many Chinese are there with on Weibo? Yes.
But
fascinating.
The drivers now are getting used to it. I mean, the drivers had to get used to a lot of things because changing cars was the first thing they had to get used to because that was a bit shocking for them. And then trying to get votes from social media to be able to overtake the guy in front of you was the next thing they had to get used to. But Now they're used to it, or they have accepted it. Some like it a lot, the ones with more followers on Twitter especially. But that's the point. The race in the 21st century is not like the race in the 20th century. So you race, I mean, let's not exaggerate. I mean, it has to be a real race. So 90% of the result will depend on the skill of the driver, the speed of the car, the performance, etc. But 5 to 10% may depend on how many fans vote for you.
That could be enough.
And that makes it exciting for the fans.
I'm seeing lots of activity down there in the corner. Libby, do we have any questions from the Twitter sphere?
We're getting a lot of interest. You've excited a lot of people with your ideas. The most important question is it too early to volunteer to help test the cars out? That's Ian Gertler retweeting Jeremy Wade. But I'll give you some of the other questions coming through. From Tim Swift, when do you think Formula E will be competitive with Formula One? And what will happen to its green impact when that happens? Formula One's green impact.
Formula One what? It's green?
The green?
The green impact of Formula One.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a very good question. We don't see ourselves at all as a competitor to Formula One. We try to position this as a completely separate concept. It would be a little bit like skiing and snowboarding. We are snowboarding, like, you know. But in terms of performance, which may be the second part of the answer, an electric motor weighs only 16 kilos and delivers 300 horsepower. Our electric motor, the one in these cars, which is made by McLaren. If we get 4 of those, it still weighs less than a Formula One car. And it would deliver 1,200 horsepower, so far more power. But I don't have energy to feed those motors. The battery would last 4 minutes. So we go again to the problem of the battery. So all the performance will come when we get better batteries. So yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a different kind of race, isn't it?
Yeah, for the moment it's about developing technology, and interaction with the fans.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Talking of interaction, anything else from the floor?
We've also got a few questions around the theme of what's the benefit of electric vehicles if the electricity is made from fossil fuels, and similarly if the batteries are using harmful chemicals? That's from James Plum, Austin Foster.
Thank you for the kind question. I have only 10 seconds left, or 12, I think, but no, so I probably cannot answer that.
If you're going to save, if we're going to save the planet, I think we can find some more time.
Excellent. No. Well, first of all, we are only trying to tackle one of the problems, which is the pollution created by vehicles, by cars especially. There is another big problem, which is how we produce the electricity. But we leave that one to someone else, because we only do this problem. But definitely energy has to be produced from sustainable sources that don't pollute. Otherwise, the whole thing doesn't work. And except if you think of the health problem. Right now, cars are polluting where people live, which is in cities. So at least we will get that pollution out. It's not good to pollute in the middle of the countryside, but at least there is nobody there. So, and as I said, you know, going back to the 7 million people died from pollution in the cities. So at least we will avoid that. And then we leave to someone else to fix the other problem, which, you know, I'm sure there are solutions for it.
We may have to have a word about carbon impact and where the carbon goes around the world, but perhaps not right now. Do we have one more super question down there? Because we
a really important question. How fast do the cars go?
They go very fast. They can go up to 270 to 275 kilometers per hour. We will limit in the cities to 220 to 25 kilometers per hour, but it will be a very fast race.
And I have a final question on that subject. Are there any more openings for any more drivers?
Yes, we have one for you already.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. On that very positive answer, Alejandro, thank you very much.
Thank you.